Hello and welcome to Glorious Miniatures on today, the 29th of April, 2023. And we're going to have a look at the Warhammer 40,000 Leviathan box set. Now, if you've made it this far, do make sure you subscribed and hit the bell for notifications, all that nonsense. And I won't ask you again, well, at least until the end of the video. Now, let's get into this box set, shall we? I'm going to press the button for English. It's obviously Leviathan. Hive Fleet Leviathan versus the First Company, which is a great thing straight off the bat because I need to work on my Ultramarines First Company, and well, I'm not really sure about Tyranids, but let's have a scroll down and have a look, see what we're looking at. So it's here, the moment you've been waiting for. It's time to open the lid on the jam-packed launch box for the new edition of Warhammer 40,000 Leviathan. It looks already like we are getting a stack of miniatures. New miniatures, in fact. We got some Bernie Boys, new Dreadnought, a Medic, Stern Guard, Terminators, Librarian. So all new miniatures here by the looks of it. And these look like all new Tyranids as well, which is a fantastic thing. Do we have new Gene Stealers? That is the question that I'm asking. But anyway, let's have a scroll down and see what's what. What's in the box? As the name suggests, Leviathan is an absolutely gigantic box, packed to the brim with miniatures, books, and more. When you lift the lid, you'll find stacks of sprues containing 2 armies full of gorgeous new miniatures. Beneath that, you'll find a massive Leviathan book, the chapter-approved Leviathan mission deck, and a construction booklet. Oh, that's always a good thing. Here we go. As you can see. So yeah, by the looks of it, that is a stack of miniatures. I can't remember how many sort of Necrons and Space Marines we got in 9th edition. Let's have a scroll down. The miniatures are divided into 25 elite battle-hardened Space Marines, the Imperium's ultimate defenders against innumerable horrors, and a seething swarm of 47 ravenous Tyranids that desire nothing more than to consume all the biomass in a galaxy. Let's take a closer look at each army. Space Marines are the Emperor's Angels of Death, vengeful warriors who have sworn an oath to protect the beleaguered Imperium from all assailants. As the jaws of Hive Fleet Leviathan close on the galactic west, they've got their work cut out for them and are deploying new units to combat the Tyranid threat. So the classic Captain in Terminator armor. I am really kind of happy about this. I'm working on my Ultramarine army. I've got half of the second company to finish. And I was wanting to work on the First Company. I've got a couple of Terminator squads and Stern Guard squads already. But I was trying to hold off as long as possible to see if they were going to do something like this. And, well, it looks like they're doing it, which is bad for my wallet. A storied and stalwart warrior protected by a sacred suit of tactical dreadnought armor, this captain is a resilient commander who excels at leading Terminator strike forces deep into enemy lines. Got a power sword, combi bolter, storm bolter, in fact, iron halo, and tilt shields, all very sweet, and the most important part of it, cloak. We've got a librarian in Terminator armor. Librarians are the battle psychers of the Space Marines, smiting foes with bolts of witchfire and manipulating the Imperium to shield their allies. Encased in Terminator armor, he's one of the most durable psychers available to Space Marine forces. As you can see up here, I think there are two head options, maybe like unhelmeted and helmeted. I know there was a lot of chat online about these extra sort of dimples everywhere, these sort of psychic nodes or whatever you want to call them. I'm not too fussed about them. It's great that he's finally getting a kind of a rebuild of this classic miniature. But I'm not fussed about this at all. We got the Apothecary Biologist. Oh, okay, so that's what he was. I saw the white armor from afar and wasn't sure. So understanding your enemy, no matter how vile, is the key to defeating them. Thanks to his mighty Gravis armor, the Apothecary Biologist can advance through withering enemy fire to take samples of enemy biomatter with his Vivispectrum, turning his foe's biology against them. Well, that is a pretty sweet thing. I hadn't actually noticed he was in Gravis armor. Well, I guess that's good to have another option for a medic, especially a big chunky lad to go along with the Terminators. That's pretty sweet. In general, I like his... Going to turn into a bit like Fabius Bar with all those things flying off his back. We've got a lieutenant in Phobos armor. Okay, so he's got the dual knives. He's got a combi lamer by the looks of it. And, well, in fact, he's got 3 knives just in case 2 weren't enough. Bunch of grenades. We have seen this before. I do kind of like the way he's strapped on a bit of Tyranid, I don't know, armor as a bit of extra armor for his shoulder pads. Wielding a combi weapon and 2 combat blades, this Phobos armored lieutenant can infiltrate ahead of the main Space Marine force, sowing discord amongst his enemies and disrupting their battle lines. I would not want to be doing that into the Tyranids battle lines at all. I would like to be really right at the back with all the artillery. Got a Sternguard veteran squad right here. Well, this is very interesting. Renowned for their unerring proficiency with bolt weapons, Sternguard veterans are fearsome combatants, drawn from the chapter's first company and issued with special ammunition designed to combat the Tyranid threat. Now, I do have, as I said, at least one, maybe two squads of the older sort of lead metal versions of these. With the Firstborn, I'm very happy to see these sort of Primarisized, and it means I can finally work on my first company. It is, looking at it, do you get to see some of the older helmet top right? You get a Mark 7 helmet by the looks of it. Looks pretty sweet actually on there. Nice to see that. And they've all got the combi weapons, as you can see. I always forget the name of the bottom left one. I'm just going to call it a heavy bolter. I don't know. There's an inquisitorial seal thing on there as well, which is always good. Trying not to get too hyped about this. Happened last time as well. We've got a Terminator squad as well. Terminators are the elite of the elite. Veterans clad in hulking armor, wielding power fists, storm bolters, and devastating assault cannons. Beamed into the thick of the action with a teleport homer, few horrors in a galaxy can withstand their sledgehammer onslaught. And here they are themselves. Pretty much, from what I can remember, almost exactly similar to their previous counterparts. Obviously, they've been upscaled a little bit. As apparently now, Primaris and Firstborn can fit into Terminator armor. Slightly weird. They're slowly taking over all of the Firstborn Marines. But we've got the Power Fists. Every time I see them, I do really like that checkered thing. I think I might finally give in to temptation and potentially paint those, finally. I've just built some Cataphracti Terminators for my Horus Heresy Imperial Fists, and I've just, in fact, stuck on a bunch of Power Fists, so maybe I'll even do that for them as well. So yeah, we've got combi bolters, storm bolters even, power swords, we got the teleport homer, and that big chunky assault cannon for mowing down the enemy. What a lovely thing to see. I don't even know. I'm just rather looking forward to all of this. And then we got the Infernus squad right here. When you're faced with innumerable hordes of Xenos, an Infernus squad is the perfect tool. Armed with pyre blasters that spit gouts of incandescent flame, they purge their foes with fiery wrath. Now, looking at these, having just built a tactical support squad in Horus Heresy, which consists of nothing but the same weapon, this is sort of a nice thing. They all got these flamethrowers. In this case, obviously the sort of sergeant is running rather swiftly just about to draw his blade, and he's got his bolt pistol as well. You got the bottom right, someone just about to throw a grenade of some variety. Otherwise, they all look to be fitted out exactly the same. I'd imagine they all have pistols and probably combat blades. Maybe, and probably you can upgrade them all with grenades as well. So this is, I can imagine, great for burning through Tyranids. Scroll down a little bit more. We got the Ballistus Dreadnought. Reminds me straight away of that classic loadout. I've got a Dark Angels old metal boxnaut with the double las cannon missile launcher option on it. The Ballistus Dreadnought is a fearsome weapons platform armed with a versatile missile launcher and a devastating las cannon. Perfect counter to heavy armored enemy monsters and tanks. Yeah, it's a classic loadout, long range. You want to keep those Tyranids as far away from you as possible. If I have anything to do with it, which I don't, but yeah, classic long range loadout. I'd imagine it's sort of crack and frag missiles. Maybe there's some specialty missile as well. Get access to. Great thing have they added extra armor? Been a while since I've painted the Redemptor, so I'm trying to remember if that's exactly how the legs are. But yeah, and obviously you got the dual kind of heavy bolters on his chest and all that sort of jazz. Very lovely stuff. Read more about the Space Marine side of the box there. That's a separate link. Moving on to the Tyranids, as you can see. Tyranids are a voracious alien swarm invading the galaxy from beyond the void. Guided by the hive mind, they have one terrible purpose: to devour every last shred of biomass, reconstituting it into even more powerful biomorphs, and repeating the nightmarish cycle anew on the next world in their path. This is the new flying rascal, the Winged Tyranid Prime. The Winged Tyranid Prime is a hideous alpha beast that combines strength with agility, swooping above the battlefield and identifying targets to descend upon and tear apart with their razor-sharp talons. I had seen glimpses of this miniature. I know it's been seen on social media as well for a few days before, but I haven't really been keeping track of things. There's something this reminds me of. I can't quite put my finger on it. Maybe it is indeed something from Age of Sigmar, one of those from the Soulblight Gravelord side of things, potentially. Anyway, yeah, Tyranids have always been an interesting thing to me. Whenever I think of Tyranids, I always think of Gene Stealers straight away. I got into Warhammer via Space Crusade and Space Hulk back in the day, and I always remember hating those horrible Gene Stealers, inflicting mortal wounds against my poor Terminators on those Space Hulks. So yes, we got the Neuro Tyrant as well. Oh, hello. That's an interesting one. Radiating ahead of every Tyranid hive fleet is a terrifying silence known as the Shadow in the Warp, the psychic phenomenon that blocks warp-based communication. During invasions, a Neurotyrant acts as a focusing node for this strange power, liquefying the minds of its prey as it orchestrates hordes of Tyranids to victory. Okay, so you got floaty miniatures. People know me. They know I'm not hugely fond of the sort of floating variety. I know they're sort of kept aloft by either a lot of hot air or their psychic sort of powers. I've never been that drawn to this look myself. However, new miniatures for Tyranids, that is a fantastic thing. It's been a long time coming. I think we can all agree there. I know we've had one or two over the past couple of years, but having a new bunch of Tyranids is a great thing for them. Whether or not I will be collecting Tyranids, I think we'll have to see as we scroll down. But you can see on this little close-up, there's a poor head of some poor Marine, ex-Marine, I guess. You got a couple of, what are these? Like maybe they take shots, defensive shots or something for incoming mortal wounds or something like that. Obviously, big brain on him, with some carapace armor around it, some teeth, some claws, that kind of jazz. I guess that could be fun to paint. And what else? We got Screamer Killer. Oh lordy! Finally, we've got a new Screamer Killer. The living battering rams known as Carnifexes come in many shapes and sizes, but the Screamer Killer is the most infamous adaptation and the biggest. Named after the sinister howl emitters as it unleashes their bioplasma's blasts, Screamer Killers are unstoppable shock creatures. Now, I only really remember the ones from the old battle reports with the bright red arms. I must say this certainly looks creepier with the sort of jointed claws that we've got going on. The old ones were just one great big sort of scythe, or the very old ones, I should say. I'm pretty sure we've had a sort of update of them a while ago, but we're finally getting a decent update. This looks very, very snazzy. I hate these claws. They look awful in a good way. They look awfully good. There we go. And they're obviously rather sort of just about to throw some bioplasma potentially. I have no idea how I'd paint my Tyranids if I ever collected them. I guess that's a hurdle to cross once we get to that hurdle. Von Ryan's Leapers. Before the main Hive Fleet force lands, Vanguard organisms like Von Ryan's Leapers often embed themselves on the Hive Fleet's target planet. These ambush hunters lie in wait, avoiding detection until they can do as much damage as possible. These are not lictors, apparently. These are an entirely new beast with an entirely new name as well, surprisingly. They've got these very extendable scythe weapons. They do remind me a lot of lictors. Maybe people down below can tell me what I'm missing here. I guess these are a smaller version of them, potentially. I think lictors might be just a single unit. This looks like to be a sort of squad or something. Yeah, okay. Scroll down here. We've got Termagants. These are the new version of them, as I understand it. Huge shifting swarms of Termagants are the mainstay of many Tyranid invasion forces, armed with ranged bio-organic weapons. These scuttling beasts rush forward to erode their enemies' defenses through sheer weight of numbers. So you do get Ripper Swarms in this. This is the first thing that kind of pops out there. They've got a couple of bases of Ripper Swarms similar to the Necron Warriors, which that's where you got the Scarab Cursed things. And we have got, these are updated models, I think. I'd imagine they're updated models. As I said before, it's a good thing that they're finally refreshing these ranges. Obviously, it's been a while for this particular army, and it's been a long time coming, really. So I'm very happy for folks who like the Tyranids, or people getting into Tyranids. They get some fresh new models to have a go at. We've got down here Neurogaunts. Neurogaunts are a variant strain of Gaunt that share a symbiotic relationship with the parasitic neurocytes that cling to their backs. Their primary purpose is to protect the powerful synapse creatures that coordinate the Tyranid invasion, and they will sacrifice themselves in droves to fulfill this task. I was under the impression that that's what they kind of did anyway. However, as I said, I don't know much. So this is a sort of symbiotic creature on the back, this little sort of spiked bit with like little legs, which is sort of living off it. Yeah, well, I'm not really sure what to think of these at the moment. This is obviously the sort of leader of this particular squad of nasties, because it's slightly more armored and it's got its... I don't know what this adaptation is. Maybe it's just a bigger brain. What do we have here? We got Barb Gaunts. Okay, more miniatures. A strange fusion of Gaunt biocannon, the ganglio parasite that enslaves the two. The Barb Gaunts are living ordnance that shower targets with projectiles that explode into shards of serrated chitin. Okay, so what were the previous biovores? They're the only sort of artillery for Tyranids that I can think of, which had sort of weird, I've always sort of called them gorilla arms. I know they're not gorilla arms, but massive arms to sort of support the weaponry at the back. These are sort of shoulder-mounted artillery. I guess they kind of look pretty cool. And artillery, I think, is probably something which might have been lacking from the Tyranid side of things. Obviously, Space Marines, they got tanks and literal artillery all over the place. But for Tyranids, I think it might have been lacking. I know they're very sort of psychically focused army. We've got a Psychophage as well. Hello. Hive Mind has imbued this particular biomorph with a hunger for enemy psychers. Its digestive tract somehow able to metabolize psychic lifeforms into psycho-corrosive ash, which it projects forward in blistering torrents. So you got these sort of weird smokestacks at the back, which I guess all the ash comes out of. You've got this awful looking mouth at the front, surprisingly enough, with all these like teeth and hook things to sort of make sure that it doesn't escape once it's got its nasty little teeth around. Eats the poor librarian or psychic, whatever, melts it down into ash and then throws it at its enemy again. That's very nasty. Very, very nasty. I'm glad by the looks of it, we don't get any more floaty kind of Tyranids. As I've said, I'm never entirely keen on them for some reason. Obviously, that's a very personal thought. Read more about the Tyranid side of the box there. There's the link there. While you can deploy both armies in full to play a brutal but balanced game of Warhammer 40,000, the box also contains more than enough models to form 2 full combat patrols that will let you play this new, faster-paced game format right out of the box. That's definitely a good thing. Straight out of the box, you've got to be able to do that. Otherwise, not everyone has tons and tons of money to sort of buy armies to play the game straight away. They need to have it all in one box to get going as soon as possible. We've got a big book by the looks of it, transfer sheets, data cards of some variety, and a sort of postery thing. Warhammer 40,000 Leviathan is a weighty tome packed with lore, rules, artwork, and stunning photography of models. This book covers the core of the hobby, background information for Warhammer 40,000, information about every faction, and the gorgeous showcase of beautifully painted miniatures. There is some of the miniatures. I am very keen on that. I wish personally books would come out with all of the beautiful artwork, beautiful photos, beautiful and all the lore in the world. I would be all about just collecting the books like that. As far as I'm concerned, the rules can go online or like in a digital format. I personally hate reading ebooks and stuff like that, so I would like the option to get it in a sort of book of some variety, but I certainly don't think they should be enforced. They need to be digital as well and separate from this sort of lore art book kind of thing, in my opinion at least. On top of that, you'll get the core rules for Warhammer 40,000 and the rules, as well as specially designed missions for the new Combat Patrol game format. You'll also find a full complement of Crusade rules to get your narrative campaigns up and running ahead of Codex releases, and a full Crusade expansion that delves into the story of the Fourth Tyrannic War through a series of linked campaign games. What about the missions? There's a 66 chapter approved deck in a box, which combines the best match play options from previous editions, which is designed to provide the best and most flexible mission experience for everyone, from the most casual players right up to the most competitive. On top of this, you'll also find a construction booklet to help you build your miniatures and a decal sheet for the Space Marine Force. Okay, was that... there's the decal sheet. We got Ultramarines, obviously, Dark Angels, Blood Angels, Space Wolves. Is Raven Guard down here? 6 down from the top, I guess. We got Raven Guard. We got some sweet Imperial Fists. Black Templars. I did a conversion for some Primaris-sized Terminators ages ago. They've all got Storm Shields and Thunder Hammers. Hopefully they'll actually be a real thing as well at some point. What else do we have here? Discover the Tyrannic War. This set will get you bang up to date with the current storyline in Warhammer 40,000. If you want to explore the horrors of the Fourth Tyrannic War, there's a Leviathan tie novel by Darius Hinks, in which the Ultramarines mount a desperate defense in the face of the monstrous High Fleet Leviathan. There we got our new Medici right there. We've got the Infernus squad burning away and these horrible Tyranids. For a closer look at the Space Marine and Tyranid miniatures from the Leviathan set, and more details of the rest of the awesome contents, head to the Warhammer Fest hub. There's also a whole host of other reveals as the weekend continues. The Leviathan box will be available to order in June. Maybe it'll be on my birthday, and will be the first place to get your hands on the new Tyranids and Space Marines. Leviathan book is exclusive to this box and its contents, though all the rules and the Crusade section will be available separately shortly after. Okay, and we also got a roadmap down here. We've got this is coming out this summer. Codex Tyranids and Space Marines in autumn. Codex Adeptus Mechanicus and Necrons in winter. Then in spring of next year, we've got Dark Angels, Orcs, Adeptus Custodes, Tau, and Chaos Space Marines. You won't even have to wait for your codex to start playing. Every single faction is getting a complete set of index cards with data cards for each unit that's currently available, as well as their own attachment rules, stratagems, and enhancements. These will be available to download online for free from day one, while they also become available in the app. You'll be able to buy inexpensive physical copies at the same time. I'm very happy to hear that. Well, obviously, if they're changing the entire game, smaller games, I guess, quicker games, all the rules have to be available from day one. So that is a fantastic thing to see, both in digital and physical formats. You can win a copy of the Leviathan box set. You got to sign up for their newsletter. So obviously, you've got the Warhammer Fest going on right now. I unfortunately missed out on it. I was unable to go due to basically financial reasons. I did do a giveaway for my Saturday ticket, so hopefully the person who has that ticket now is enjoying themselves at this Warhammer Fest. So by the way, while we're talking about that, the only way to win my giveaways currently is to basically go to my website, I'll link it below, and to sign up to my newsletter. It's only a sort of once a month email that you'll get from me, unless anything weird or drastic happens, in which case you might get another update. So once you've signed up to the newsletter, you should be getting a email straight away from me. Do check your spam parts of your email and your main email account to see where that email has gone. Approve it, like say it's not spam if it's gone in there, and you should have a link in there or a thing to at least click on. So just open it up, have a quick scan of it, and if there is a link, do click it just to sort of prove that you actually want the newsletter. That's all I'm going to really say on that front, but I promise it's not going to be spam. Hopefully I'll be able to put some more videos out over the weekend. I'm really gutted I'm not at Warhammer Fest, but that's just the way things are. Maybe next year is the time things will happen. Make sure you've liked, subscribed, hit the bell for notifications, drop a comment below. It's a fantastic thing to help this channel. I'm trying to slowly build the channel up. I've got new videos of some variety coming up shortly, I hope. So we're not just doing article reads. And that's until the next one. Thank you and goodbye.